Hi folks, Yanni here from Wildlife Cake and Cocktails. Just a quick reminder, in the upcoming show we're dealing with injured, distressed wildlife, and there's always the possibility of bites, scratches, parasites, disease transmission, and obvious envenomation risks when dealing with venomous snakes. So never attempt anything you're not qualified to do, and remember you can always call 1300-ANIMAL or a local catcher for assistance with injured wildlife if needed. Enjoy the show. We're back. What's up, everybody? Welcome to Wildlife Cake and Cocktails. We've got another WCC Conversations episode coming at you guys, and a little bit something special tonight. It's our first herping episode. It's a lovely night. It's been about 34 degrees today. There's been snakes everywhere. So we are heading out looking for reptiles. I've got with me Hamish Noller, that reptile guy, UQ wildlife student, wildlife science student. And we've also got our intrepid producer, Kristian Summers from Summers Sound Solutions. Hamish, man, tell us where we are, dude.
So at the moment we are sort of on the edge of the Gap and Mount Nebo. We are going to be heading up towards Mount Nebo and then onto Mount Glorious.
And you've spent a lot of time looking for reptiles up there. Obviously, you grew up in the area.
Yeah, I grew up just down the road, so this is sort of my local area. It's my stomping ground. I've been here quite a bit over the years.
Excellent. I've spent a little bit of time up here, but obviously I'm a transplant to the area, so I'm always happy to have somebody to show me around a little bit. Kristian, say hi, man. How are you doing?
Mate, it's a really warm night tonight.
It's just nice to be out, isn't it?
It is really nice to be out on a Saturday night.
Have you been out herping before?
I have never been out herping before.
All right. Have you been out looking for wildlife before?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Definitely my youth. As I've told you, I grew up in Brookfield.
Yeah.
Mostly. So I was always out in the creek.
Yeah.
Chasing, trying to find platypuses, not so much small water dragons.
Yeah. So, well, look, in that case, you have been herping for water dragons. You know, herping refers to herpetofauna, which means reptiles and amphibians. Herping is just the activity of looking for wild reptiles and amphibians. And we're going to be doing a couple of things today. We're going to be doing some road cruising, which is driving slowly along the roads at night. And we're also going to be doing a little bit of active searching with headlights as well. Now, just some quick notes. If anybody does want to do this, while out road cruising, just remember all normal road rules still do apply. If you see wildlife and you need to pull over to have a look, make sure you pull over safely. Take care. Don't do anything stupid.
Use your indicator.
No
slamming on the brakes.
No slamming on the brakes.
Even if you feel that it may be necessary.
Absolutely.
Think about the cars behind you.
Absolutely.
They are not aware of what you're doing, most likely.
So be aware of others. Be aware of other traffic while you're out there. It's not just you on these roads looking for wildlife. Other people live here and other people drive through these roads as well. So we do have to be aware of them. All right. Let's talk a little bit about where we are. So we're right here at the bottom of the mountain at the Walkabout Creek Discovery Centre at the Diagula Range National Park. It's right at the Enoggera Dam, which is actually one of the first major dams here in Queensland, built in 1866. The catchment region is the mountain streams of the Diagula Range National Park, just west of Brisbane, which is where we're heading. It's declared a national park in 1977. It's the second biggest park in southeast Queensland at 28,500 hectares. It's very diverse, 35 regional ecosystem types, 2 of which are endangered. It includes open forest, subtropical rainforest, creeks, riparian systems and more. 469 vertebrate species recorded, all of which we're going to find tonight, every single one.
And we are not leaving until we find
and more.
34 threatened species as well. The traditional owners of much of the park are the Jinnaburra people, whose land extends, I believe, from here in the ranges of northeast Brisbane to the Sunshine Coast hinterlands, a bit west from the coastal tribal lands. So, as said, our mission is we're going to go for a bit of a drive through and walk some of the creek lines nice and slowly. Guys, let's get in the car. We've got coffee. We've got treats. We don't have cake and cocktails, but I've got a muffin and a really horrible instant coffee from a service station. So, let's jump in the car. Let's do this. Let's see what we find, huh?
Fantastic.
Woo! And we're about to hit the road. Everybody's got head torches and hand torches. We've got cameras. If we do find anything cool, we're going to, of course, try to identify it and take some photos, and we'll be posting those along with the podcast. So let's get on the road. All right, Hamish, man, what do you expect to find up here? What do you usually find?
You've got all the regulars. You've got your carpet pythons, your boigers. Those are arguably the 2 most common snakes in.
So boigers, for the audience?
Brown tree snakes.
Right.
So a mildly venomous, pretty much, 80 to 90% arboreal.
Yeah,
colubrid.
they're an interesting little snake. Like,
They are.
despite being so common and arguably annoying because they're so common, they are an interesting snake. And the colubrids in Australia, I find to be a really interesting group.
Well, they're fascinating because of how recently they arrived.
And they're so different. All the colubrids are so
Yes.
different. Okay.
So colubrids is colubrids. How I forget what the correct pronunciation, but it's for either rear-fanged or non-fanged snakes.
Okay.
So a very large family of rear-fanged or non-fanged snakes. Very, very successful.
Very common in other countries.
Absolutely.
Not so common in Australia.
I see.
We mainly have the brown tree snake, the green tree snake, the slaty grey, and what's the other one? Are they some of the water snakes, the Macleays?
No, they're all homolopsids, aren't they?
Yeah,
What else do we have? Well, I think that's it.
No, there's another one. There is another one.
Which ones did you say?
Slaty grey.
Slaty grey.
Yeah. So the slaty
Keelback.
grey. Yeah, the keelback. I don't know
Okay,
how I
really
didn't think of that.
that.
Brain has not kicked in yet. Yeah, so we got the keelback.
More
which
coffee.
is-
It's been a long day.
Yeah. So, yeah, the keelback, obviously a cool snake. Only native Australian that can eat toads. And that is because they have come from the keelbacks over in Asia. So they have a residual tolerance to the bufotoxins that the cane toad carries. So that's an important species right there, straight off the bat.
Yeah.
The tree snakes are just, I don't know, I think they're kind of cool. I like them. Very different, but quite arboreal compared to a lot of Australia's ground-dwelling snakes.
Yep.
So they're interesting. And, I don't know, the slaty greys, they have their perks. But we don't really get them around here, so I wouldn't say I'm too familiar
Yeah.
with the slaty greys. I've played with a few captive ones, but that's it.
Yeah. And look up here, it's not just reptiles as well that you're going to be seeing on the roads. There's going to be a lot of mammals. I've seen bandicoots. I've seen planigales running across the road. There's frequently, of course, possums, wallabies, kangaroos, but
Usual
And
suspects.
some non-natives as
a
well.
large amount of
Foxes,
invasive
cats,
species. That's what I
pigs.
was going to say. I've seen all of those up here. I've seen red deer up here, I think.
Yeah, I've seen deer as well.
I've definitely seen deer. I'm not sure if they were red deer, but there's
Deer, definitely.
definitely large amount of deer and pigs and
Bright
cats
pink
and foxes.
pigs, straight
Yes.
off the dairy.
Straight off the farms.
But yeah, I mean,
Escapees.
Yep.
aside
absolutely.
from the common coastal carpets and your brown tree snakes, I seem to have quite a lot of luck finding rough scale snakes. Some of my friends have never found them, but I've found a lot of them. So the roughies, another cooler leopard,
Yeah.
small-eyed snakes, I find quite a lot of those up here.
Right.
I have found a lot of blind snakes, but
Okay.
depending on the weather. They are quite, on the wetter nights, they come out of the ground because obviously they are an underground snake, so they get a bit claustrophobic and can't breathe when the ground gets saturated with water.
Right.
They all like to come up on the roads, and often the bandies follow.
Okay.
Um,
So we had a little bit of rain last night, but it's been a hot day, so most of that moisture's probably
it's
pretty
gonna,
much gone.
and it's been so dry this winter.
It
that
has.
It's going to take a lot of rain before we get any real saturation happening.
Yeah.
The death adders, that's a bit of an elusive species for me. I know they're here. I have found one, and
That's right. You told
it
me
was
this
a
horrible story.
sad story. Driving through, this is right on the back of Mount Glorious, and this perfect light grey, almost silver death adder just sitting there coiled up, thinking I've finally found this bloody snake that I've been looking for. I've gone over, I was like, it just doesn't feel right, like something looks a bit off. And it had just been nicked on like the front half of its head. Like it looked
By a car.
perfect. By a car. This thing was from even a few meters away, you would never tell that anything was out of place. It wasn't until I got right up to it and noticed, it's
And the front
dead
half
on the
of his
road,
head had been
unfortunately. So
hit by a vehicle.
that was sad. My first death adder was a dead on road.
So
But
tragic.
you know what? We're going to keep trying. That's
Yeah,
okay.
that's it. And look, that's something that we should discuss. While you're out here driving around looking for wildlife, if anybody listening does decide to come out here, look, do take your time. Don't rush. because there is plenty of reptiles and wildlife on the roads, and they get hit very, very frequently. You know, even just driving out around here looking for reptiles, you could accidentally run one over coming around one of these corners. And it happens all the time. Reptiles have a massive mortality rate on roads. Even on the drive out here tonight, what did we find? We found
two dead blue tongues, 2 dead carpets.
Yep.
And a dead water dragon.
Yep, and a dead water dragon.
And that was, we barely even left the suburbs.
That was just on Gap Creek Road on the way through. So look, reptiles and native wildlife in general, they really do get cleaned up on these roads. So if you are out here looking for them, you know, take care. You know, they can be hard to spot. They can jump out fairly quickly at night. So just have a bit of caution, and you know.
And birds as well are another one that you wouldn't really think of, but every time another animal gets hit, often reptiles and mammals, those birds of prey are going to come down and feed on them, and then they become a target because they're sitting on the roads.
Right.
And I've seen quite a few times as well where I've been driving, and various things, powerful owls, tawny frogmouths will swoop down from the tree, and it's a miracle that I didn't hit them. I haven't actually hit any of them yet, but I have had wings clip the front of my car as they've just swooped in front as I'm driving past.
I was driving
if
back.
I was going faster, like other people usually are, we're driving at 30 k's an hour, but you know, someone doing 100 could easily just clean them up.
Yeah, absolutely. I was driving back from a job out west, and I stopped my car. I saw there was 2 wedge-tailed eagles on the road up ahead of me. They were sitting on a kangaroo carcass that had been pretty freshly killed, and they're there having a bit of a feed. So I brake and I pull up to it, and I honk my horn, and they just look at me like, leave me alone, dude, we're trying to eat. Like, I had to keep edging towards them in my, you know, big, you know, field management vehicle, and they were just standing there like, dude, leave me alone, we're trying to have a feed. Big imposing birds, but they couldn't quite carry the carcass off, so they were, you know, at least in this case, willing to stand there and try to fight my car. I think it might have been because of how tentatively I approached them, you know. I imagine if you just kept speeding down towards them, they'd probably take off. But, I mean, that said, they may not have time, they may not see you coming. You do see birds of prey nailed, you know, just like all other wildlife on the roads.
Unfortunately and very sadly, seen quite a few wedge-tails being hit on the roads when you're travelling further out west of Brisbane.
Yeah.
The wedgies are quite common out there, and the amount of kangaroos that get hit, the wedgies basically just have a field day.
Absolutely.
And people out there are doing a lot faster than they are in the city and the suburbs. Many cars are doing well over the recommended speed limit.
Oh, and there goes a small mammal. We pull up very quickly, and there's other cars there, so and they got nowhere to pull up.
Nowhere to stop.
There is no way to stop and check what that was because it is long gone.
No, it's long gone anyway.
It looked like
what are we
a
thinking?
little
Potentially Antechinus?
No, I would say a Melamese.
Yeah, okay.
Right, it had that long straight tail, and it was like a small rounded mousy but larger shape.
Yeah, it was quite it looked larger, rounder.
Yeah, didn't have the thick fat tail, didn't have a brushy tail.
No, thin tail.
And it didn't have very big ears or anything, so I'm gonna go with some form of Melamese for now. What do you think?
Well, I should just, because obviously there is no footage, I'm sitting in the back seat. So my view of what is happening is not as good as it could be. Also, my idea of mammals is not as good as it is with reptiles.
Yeah. We got a good little look at him while he was running along the road here in front of us for a second before he darted off into the bushes. But
actually, another common species, and for anyone who knows me, they know I'm a bit of a Cacophis fanatic. I love my crown snakes. I know they're not rare or unusual, they're pretty common. A lot of them are pretty basic looking, but I just have a real soft spot for the crown snakes.
I think they're phenomenal, man.
I love them. The golden crowns are arguably my favourite elapid. I just have a special place for them.
They have that really fantastic belly coloration, particularly here in Brisbane, where they've got like really orangey belly coloration with that really dark stripe down the middle of the the ventral scales.
Yeah, and they were one of the first elapids that I ever found when I did start going out into the bush and looking. Obviously, yellow-faced whip snakes was the first one. They're just super common in backyards, but when I did actually start leaving and going out into the bush looking for wildlife and whatever else, yeah, the golden crown's one of the first species that I encountered, and I've just been in love with them ever since.
Yeah, man.
And I find quite a lot of them up here.
There can be quite a number of them out on the roads. I mean, they're a fossorial, nocturnal lizard hunter, so this is when they're out foraging. I suppose that's one of the cool things about herping is whatever the ecology of the species that you want to find, you know, you target those conditions and you improve your chances of finding it. You know, obviously, we're more likely to find nocturnal snakes because we're out here at night. If you come up here during the day, you know, it's monitor lizards. It is monitor lizards everywhere. Monitor lizards and whip snakes. Monitor lizards and you'll see the occasional whip snake scooting off somewhere really quickly, but
they're the little skinny ones, aren't they?
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And you know, quite fast for their size as well. Very rapid.
Very fast, yeah.
Mm-hmm. So you know, you can pick your battles.
It is good. Like, no matter what the conditions are, there's almost certainly something that you will be able to find. If it's pouring rain, you'll be finding blind snakes and bandies. If it's been quite dry, you can still come up and find your carpets and things like that. If it's a bit of humidity and there's frogs around, you're going to be starting to find tree snakes, maybe some Stevens bandits, that kind of thing.
Right. Now, explain to us about the bandy. Why will we be finding him when we're finding blind snakes?
Okay, so the bandy, very interesting little species of elapid. Basically, these snakes live primarily underground. So if we are walking around, the chances of finding them are quite slim, and they consume only blind snakes. That makes up their entire diet. And for anyone that knows blind snakes and bandies, they are often quite a similar size. And bandies will consume blind snakes that are almost the same size as them. And if you've never seen this, it's hard to imagine, but I have actually personally watched a bandy eat a blind snake that, as far as I could tell, was the same size. And I don't know where they put it or where it goes, but it goes somewhere.
Wow.
So basically what happens when you are getting very wet conditions, the blind snakes, which also live underground, the blind snakes mainly eat ant larvae, so they're living in ant mounds and things like that underground, ant nests. When it gets really wet, the ground becomes saturated and they can no longer breathe because all of the areas and air spaces within the soil fills up with water. So therefore they need to come up to the surface to be able to breathe. And they often will come out and find themselves on roads and things like that. So it's quite common to find both of those species out at the same time.
So the bandies will be out hunting the blind snakes.
So is it? I should have double checked this. Is it Ramphotyphlops?
Ramphotyphlops, that's correct. Yes.
So that is the genus.
Yes, the Australian genus. The genus of Australian blind snakes. Yes.
I can't remember the species name. Is it Ramphotyphlops nigrescens?
Nigrescens is the darker one. Ramphotyphlops brahminus is probably the more common.
Common one around here.
It's known as the flower pot snake, but it's more common globally around the world. Actually, I think it's been moved around a fair bit, just in flower pots and in soil.
Yeah.
But it is a very small but very common blind snake. I'm not sure about up here. I actually haven't found many blind snakes up here. I haven't been up here while it's been wet enough, I suppose.
I used to come up here at the slightest hint of rain. If I saw a storm coming, I was cancelling my plans and I was coming up here to look for bandies.
Yeah. And there's another car there parked at one of the walking trails, so very good chance that that's another bunch of wildlife nerds or herpetologists out looking for reptiles.
I always find it interesting when I drive up here and I'm this weirdo driving at like 20 k's an hour, and then all of a sudden another car drives past at 20 k's an hour.
Creeping along, and there's head torches poking out the windows.
You're either doing exactly what I'm doing, or you're doing something that I don't want to be involved in. So either way, I'm like, I'm not taking that risk. I'm just going to keep on driving, and you do you, I'll do me.
Yeah. So again, you know, as we were talking about, you got to be careful on these roads. You don't know what kind of creeps could be out here at night.
We are quite a long way from the city. I mean, this is not Wolf Creek or anything, but you know, it's far enough that you got to be careful. Like, you know, there could be anything going on up here.
We're in Moreton Bay Council now. We're no longer in Brisbane City.
Oh no!
Oh dear.
Things are about to start getting weird.
There was one time up here where, I'm no joke, and the reason I bring it up is because we're in the same spot. I was driving along here with a mate, and I thought somebody I don't know why, I thought it was like a cardboard sign. There was a pig standing on the side of the road. Oh, what have we got here?
We got a
Little
brush-tailed possum
Brushy.
wandering along the
common
road.
little species.
Very
yeah.
common.
He
Very
doesn't
very
seem to want to
common.
leave the road.
No, and there you go. You've chased him up a tree, and he's off the road.
He's safe.
Safe for another day.
Safe, safe, safe.
All right,
Wonderful.
our job is done. Let's go home.
Hey, that's not a reptile, dude. We've only found. Okay, so we found two living mammals, and we've only found dead on the road reptiles so far on the way here. We can't go home yet. That's not good enough for me, man.
So yeah, I was driving along, and I've just seen this. This pig was so pink that I thought it was like a cardboard sign, like somebody had spray painted it with pink spray paint.
Wow.
And it was standing so still, and I was like, oh, that's a weird thing to leave on the side of the road. And all of a sudden it just like snaps its head around and looks at us. I was like, all right, that's not a sign, that's just the pinkest pig I've ever seen. Straight off a dairy from somewhere, who knows, I don't know, there are probably heaps of them up here.
Yeah. And
So
look, the potential for wild dogs up here as well, you know?
Wait, a
Oh,
pig,
yeah.
pig from a dairy?
You know, like the stereotypical dairy kind of, not a dairy pig, but like a,
I
don't know why I said dairy.
not many people
Are we
doing
milking
the
pigs
pig
now?
milk.
Like,
no, I don't know why I said dairy, I don't know where that came from. But your like typical farm pig.
yeah. Bacon,
Like bacon kind of pig.
Oh,
bright
like,
pink farm pig.
babe.
Yeah, like a babe kind of pig.
Yeah.
Babe is running around these mountains. That fucking pig got big. Babe has been eating phenomenally well in the national park on all the lovely native vegetation, and he got a little bit savage.
He got a lot savage.
Yeah, you don't really want to
they
fuck
did-
with Babe no more.
Had a bit of a charge at us and ran off into the bush, and there must have been. I mean, I didn't see them, but I could hear them. There must have been at least half a dozen other pigs with it, because I could hear them all crashing off through the bush.
Yeah, thundering
So
through the bush.
I have no doubt there's a lot of them up here.
So what if one of them does start goring you? Do you go, that'll do, pig? Is that
You can try that if you like.
Did you like that one, Kristian?
Oh, yeah.
I would recommend. Yeah,
A painful groan at my puns. Welcome to the joy of producing for me.
But yeah, I've seen quite a lot of foxes. I've seen cats. I've seen all sorts of ferals up here. So
Yeah, there's plenty of
unfortunately, there's quite a lot there.
That being said,
but
we've only seen two native mammals so far. Two native, there was the Melamese, and then there was the brush-tailed possum. So
Suspected.
Melamese. Yeah, that's great.
I'm glad you said that for me, because I was going to say melamine.
Melamine.
I'm pretty sure that's the stuff they gave to the kids in China in the baby formula, and it killed them.
Oh no.
Anyway.
Moving on.
Yep. Next.
No, Melamese.
Melanese.
Yeah, small native mouse.
On the topic of ferals versus natives, it was quite exciting. Some of the fauna surveys that I've been doing just a few weeks ago in the Lockyer Valley National Park.
Oh, you've been out there with uni?
Yeah, for uni. So
Right.
several weeks of doing fauna surveys using camera traps, soil plots, and a range of other methods.
Right.
And surprisingly, we had almost no invasive species.
Wow.
All natives. And even the people who have been running this for
Fantastic.
9 years or so now, they were even surprised at how well we had done with just getting so much data of natives living in the area.
That's fantastic.
And I mean, we did get a few, like we got some, and we got a little
there's-
Stevens bandit.
That is fantastic.
So
I've got a
little-
spot to pull up over here.
Don't fall
Well,
down that.
yeah. We'll turn around. All good. We're coming back for him. Hopefully he hasn't been hit. But all right. We're gonna
Perfect little
We're gonna
spot.
walk it back from here, guys.
Yeah, this is...
Guys, we have found what looks to be a Stevens banded snake. This is fantastic news. Woo! Cortisol.
Got your keys?
Yep. Alright, now.
Torch on.
Now, if one is to leave the car running, there needs to be at least somebody who can drive in there. So we've pulled over safely and we're completely off the road and we're going to backtrack, hopefully.
It's
soon
not
enough.
too far.
How did he look? Did he look like he'd been squashed? Or?
It
Hard to say.
was curled up in a little ball, so it's hard to say for now. I definitely didn't see it moving, but that's not uncommon.
No, that's
The
true.
Stevens Bandeds are quite a defensive species, let's just say. They like to put on a bit of a show.
Yeah, we should get a fantastic
So,
little display from
Often
them,
when I
hopefully.
find them, they do resort to curling up and standing their ground quite quickly. A lot of other species, you blink and they're gone. These ones usually do hang around for a bit.
Okay, let's see how we go. And it was a little bit back from here.
It's always hard to remember when you're driving.
It is.
And
It
then
all
you
looks
walk
the same
back.
at night.
Yeah.
And,
And
it's
of
like, how
course, you
far
know.
did we go?
This looks pretty perfect for a...
There we go. There it is.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
this one is an interesting little species, the Leptospirosis.
Oh, and he's fine. Look at that. That is a Stevens Bandit, and you know what? This is only my second in the wild, and my first time with a camera. So I'm very, very happy.
Let's hope no cars come.
Absolutely. If any cars come, somebody's obviously we're keeping an ear for them. But if there is a car, we're going to move him off nice and quickly. What a beautiful snake.
Really pretty little things. And often
Gorgeous, yeah.
when I have been
Fantastic
up
climbers.
here with people, and they can be, with the untrained eye, they can be confused with a bandy when you're driving. Once you look at them closely, it's pretty easy to tell, but I mean, they're both black and white striped snakes. And some of the Stevens I've found, a lot of them have this more of a brown and grey colouring for the lighter stripes rather than the white in the bandy. But I have found a few that were quite highly contrasted.
Is his mouth a bit crooked?
Is he okay?
Maybe he's just looking at me funny.
So the Leptospirosis is an interesting genus. There is 3. We've got the Stevens, the broadhead,
Oh, it's
and the pale-headed snake. Yeah, we're
tail's
wiggling his
moving.
tail a bit.
tail's moving, yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, interesting little genus. I've had a fair bit of luck finding these guys up here.
Fairly
I've found
frequent for you, hey?
quite a few Stevens. And like I said, they do put on a good show.
This guy's being fairly placid for us. I'm wondering if,
I wonder if he's alright.
yeah, I'm wondering if he's had a little head strike. Do you want to give him a little touch and see if he'll move for us? Oh. And near the head? He's fine.
He's fine,
He's
yeah.
fine, yeah.
Yeah. Wonderful.
Nice.
As I said,
Just
yeah,
likes
these...
the nice warm road.
Yeah.
As I said, this species for me, personally, up here in Mount Glorious, they do often... Like, it's a species where I'm happy to take my time with them because unlike some species that shoot off very quickly,
Yeah.
these ones almost always sit quite still. They're happy to hold their ground. They'll often give you quite a nice little threat display.
That's
Yep.
what we're after.
There we
Couple
go.
Oh, and now he's having a few little strikes at us, and that's what we want.
Yeah,
Excellent.
nice.
Well, I mean, we don't want to get strike, but we do like to have a nice little display from these guys.
And knowing that they are nice and healthy
Yeah,
is
he's
also
healthy.
good.
Fantastic stuff.
He,
What a
she.
beautiful snake. Guys, that's our first one for the night.
Brilliant.
And it's a fantastic one for me. This is my first time getting photos of these. So, and what an absolutely beautiful specimen it is.
Yeah.
He was just sitting here nice and quiet and calm. Wow, absolutely beautiful. Stevens banded snake. Hoplocephalus stephensii. Hoplocephalus.
Alright, let's get our little friend
Tomato,
off the road.
tomato.
Alright, let's scooch him off the road.
So, just one point that I feel is good to make, which I have seen some herpers sort of do. I prefer, when moving species off the road, to move them in the direction they were already heading.
Absolutely.
Because I've seen some people move them off the road in the wrong direction, and then as we are coming back later that night, we find the same one crossing the road again, going to where it was wanting to go originally. So for me, the best thing to do is just to move them off in the same direction they were going and let them go on their way. They're obviously on a mission. They're going somewhere.
And not disturb them too much as well.
No,
you know,
absolutely
he's definitely
not.
had enough of us, and we'll get out of here now and let him be in peace. Wow, what a beautiful find, guys. Fantastic.
That was brilliant. Okay.
Excellent start. All right, that was awesome. Wow, we're back in the car and we're pulling back onto the road. So, Stephen's banded snake, number 1 for the night. Hamish, that was awesome, dude.
Yeah, I'm pretty stoked. That's a good find for the first one.
Yeah, and beautiful, beautiful, happy, healthy.
Yeah, and I mean, I've got to, I don't want to jinx us, but conditions are looking good tonight. We've had some rain, we've had some hot weather. Yeah, it's all looking pretty set up for a cracking night.
Absolutely. I think it was going to be close to 20 degrees tonight.
Yeah.
Which is, you know, nice, good warm nighttime temperature for reptiles. But hey, guys, we're probably going to turn off the recording for a bit. We're just going to cruise around and save some battery on the recorder. And
unless we see something
fantastic, we'll switch the recording on once again once we're if we find anything, or once we're down at our little walking trail, and we'll turn it on then once we're having a bit of a wander. But for now, we shall drive these roads, keep our eyes open, and if we find anything, we'll talk to you guys very shortly. Hi everyone, this is your host Yanni. Just a quick disclaimer regarding road injured wildlife and the upcoming segment. After looking at the photos, we noticed that, as we first suspected, there may have actually been a vehicle injury to the left side of the Stevens banded snake's head. The photo was very subtly depressed, with a tiny bit of the left fang actually visible, perhaps indicating maybe a misaligned jaw, which in retrospect might have needed the attention of a reptile vet. Just goes to show how delicate these animals can be, and how easy it is to miss an injury if an animal is active and alert like this one. Now, the next segment of the show might be a bit distressing, and we debated whether or not to even include it, but decided it's important to share how emotionally taxing working with animals can be. What you're going to hear involves the euthanasia of a severely injured pink-tongued lizard. In fact, we thought it was dead already when we pulled up, and we're focusing the cameras when it showed signs of life. In its condition, there was little choice but to end its suffering, and it was quickly euthanized with blunt force to the cranium. A hard reality for any wildlife enthusiasts out on the roads. Now, anyway, if you wish to skip this segment with the euthanasia, skip ahead 2.5 minutes for more discussion, road cruising, and some alive, healthy animals. And we did find a nice, healthy carpet python at one point, but it was right in the road and we were switching batteries, so we only have some photos of that one, no audio, but such is life, hey. Anyway, back to the show. Cheers. Right, here we are again. Alright, and we've pulled up again. We've found something. It doesn't look great. As we mentioned, there's going to be a lot of this while you're road cruising. You're going to be finding a few creatures that have been hit by vehicles, and it is nice to try to pull them off the road for the carrion eaters, but it is also an opportunity to find out what's up and out and about on the roads. But geez, it can be a bit tough, I think we're walking up to a pink-tongued lizard. Is that correct, Hamish?
Pink-tongued skink, that's the one. Smaller, slightly smaller relative to the common blue tongue. A lot of people...
He has just been completely cleaned up by some kind of vehicle.
Yeah. These ones are often confused for blue tongues when they're young, because interestingly, when these guys are young, they have bright blue tongues, and then they change to pink.
Yeah. Oh God, he's still alive. We're going to have to euthanize him right now. He just moved.
Yep, still alive.
That's still moving. All right, I'm putting the camera down, and we're going to have to euthanize here very quickly. I'm going to find an item to make blunt force trauma. That could have just been twitching, but I'm not taking the chance.
That looks like it's liver.
Yeah, I would say it's just muscles twitching, but given the possibility of an animal being alive and suffering through
what
pain
it's suffering
like this,
through right now,
we're
going to destroy the cranium immediately, because that is a very, very recent thing and he is still alive. and he's not anymore.
He is no longer alive.
Oh man, it is a tough thing to have to do.
Unfortunately,
It's reality.
We may have just ended, saved a few minutes of or more of suffering, and we'll move all this carrion off the road. So hopefully the next carrion eater doesn't get struck by a vehicle. All right, back to the car. Bit of a sad one.
There it is, though.
Tough. Oh man, I hate doing that. All right.
That was rather graphic.
Yeah, but the poor thing, it's still moving, it took a breath. Jesus, the poor thing.
Yeah, that's enough, thank you, yeah.
Alright, so we're back in the car after pulling up for that DOR, Dead on the Road stop, for that poor little pink tongue. Pretty tough stuff, Hamish.
Yeah, so unfortunately that is a common occurrence up here on the roads. We get a lot of people driving cars, motorbikes. They're going pretty quick around these mountain roads. They're having a bit of fun, but it does lead to some pretty nasty road injuries. So we thought this would be a good time to mention 1300 animal. If you come across injured wildlife, that is the number to call, 1300 animal. Often we do get injured animals up here that may or may not look injured. They may look completely normal and healthy. They're still walking around, but yeah, unfortunately things like echidnas get nicked on the face, and bilateral fracture, which is just basically a fracture of both sides of the jaw, which is very common because they have these brittle little beaks on the front of them, and that is a death sentence for them, unfortunately. So any injured wildlife, if you do see it, 1300 animal, give them a call. Somebody will come out and look after it. But I mean, some of these animals, they get injured up here but not killed, and that could potentially be days, weeks of starving to death, which is not a nice way for any animal to go. So if we can avoid that from happening, then it's the lesser of two evils.
Well, look, as you said, it's not like that lizard that we found was going to live for much longer, maybe a few minutes, but I mean, he still took a breath, which was incredible, that something can take that much damage and still breathe. The poor little thing, even if he was only going to be there suffering for another 10 minutes, at least we alleviated that suffering. And look, it does pay to stop. You're not going to be sure if they are injured or if they're fine until you stop and have a look, of course, from a nice safe distance. And if you aren't sure what you're doing and you need a professional, 1300 animal, the number to call for wildlife rescues. Yeah. All right, guys, we're going to turn the recording back off, and we'll switch it back on if we find anything, or once we get down to the other side of the mountain and have a bit of a walk around. We'll talk to you soon. Bye. And we have found a death adder. This is Acanthopus antarcticus. Hamish, this is a first for you, my friend.
This is my first live Mount Glorious death adder, and words cannot put
how beautiful it is.
I cannot explain how excited I am right now.
This is incredible.
This is just a unicorn for me. I know they're up here, and I have been up here for countless hours, over years and years.
Ooh, look at him go.
Oh, look at that sidewind.
Beautiful
this is so exciting. I can't believe this.
I'm going to have to take a bit of footage here.
Oh, man. I'm so excited right now. This is just...
I didn't have time to get my torch.
So much time and effort has gone into getting this moment. And just to... I mean... This is what I love about herping. We are out in the middle of the bush. It is silent, apart from a little bit of wind in the trees.
And here you have this gorgeous animal.
Well, that's the thing, is it's so easy to forget, living in the city, that there is just these quiet places out here where the animals are just doing their thing. We got nothing to do with their lives, and they're just getting on. And to come out here and share that is special. That's what I love about it.
And look, we haven't disturbed him, we haven't messed with him, he's just doing his thing, crossing the road.
Appreciating from a distance.
Wow. Death adder.
Oh, this
so
is special.
Acanthopus antarcticus, this is the common death adder. And wow, that's a stunning animal.
And yeah, that's it. The viewers or the listeners can't quite see what we're seeing.
Well, we're going to have photos of this up, of course, and a little bit of video. I'm taking some happy snaps as we speak.
This, the Death Adders are an interesting species. A lot of variation in colour. Quite similar in terms of size and shape. They're basically a stocky little snake, nice fat head on them. But they vary in colour so much all across Australia. And even within the same localities. So I think I mentioned earlier in the night that I have found one Death Adder.
And it was dead.
It was unfortunately dead.
And this one is happy, healthy, and gorgeous.
The one that I found was almost a silver colour. Like it was spectacular. This one...
It's got a bit more of a pinkish reddish.
Actually, sorry, we've just got a car coming. So we're just going to just try to get this guy a little bit off the road so that we can keep going without risking its life. Or ours. I should mention that as well. Keep an eye out for cars. Your life is important too.
Alright.
So this little one, nice dark greys. There's some little sort of areas of pink and apricot colour. Really pretty little snake.
Just stunning. Wow. So Mount Glorious Death Adder on the road, out at night. They're a fantastic little snake. You'll see in the photos that they actually have a different coloured tip of the tail. It's white and a different texture as well. They'll it's actually a lure that they use to attract prey items. They'll hold it next to their head while using their camouflage colour, hiding in the leaf litter. And that different coloured tail comes right up next to their little snout and wiggles like a little skink's tail or a little worm tail. And whatever comes along trying to eat it gets a nice little Death Adder tag. And they are called Death Adder for a reason. They are quite venomous.
Number 5, I think they are.
Yeah, you do not want to get bitten by one of these. This is that will definitely be sending you to the hospital very quickly.
This one doesn't seem aggressive at all.
No, and of course we haven't threatened him whatsoever.
No.
So he's not getting aggressive. You know, snakes don't get aggressive. Honestly, it's all defensiveness. You have to threaten them first.
Let's hope this little one doesn't go back on the road.
No, we're gonna pull him off the road because there is some
There's
some
a bit of
car
traffic
sounds coming.
I'm hearing some hooning, yeah.
That's the thing, is if you keep your distance, you respect the snake.
Yeah.
Basically this one, I mean, it's poking its head in and around leaves, it's tongue flicking, like it's just displaying normal behaviours.
Yep.
It is barely reacting to us at all. Right now it's pushing leaves out of the way. You know, it'd be looking for skinks, frogs, other maybe small mammals. It's just doing its thing, and we get to sit here and watch. There's not much more that you could ask for.
Yeah, it's burying itself under the leaf litter.
Yeah, and that's a good point to make. The Death Adders, they can be very, very fast. In fact, they have the fastest strike of any Australian snake, and possibly any snake in the world. I think they're quite up there.
Yeah.
But they will also ambush. So they will sit and not move for extraordinary amounts of time, basically just waiting for a prey species to stumble a little bit too close, and then bang. They can go from nothing to... and basically within a blink of an eye, they've struck, bitten their prey, injected venom, and recoiled. A friend of
mine, and I've got a couple of pet Death Adders now, and I can, you know, I pretty much agree. A friend of mine says it's like a twitch in the Matrix. It's like there's been a glitch in the Matrix. First they're here, and then all of a sudden their face is somewhere else with their fangs dug into something. But isn't this interesting here? We're talking about their camouflaging behavior and living in the leaf litter. We're on the side of the road. This is road base. And we're literally, he's going into some leaf litter that is less than a meter off the road. He's digging right in, and you would not be able to tell that he's there.
No.
That's, you know...
No, you can't tell.
He's basically completely hidden. And so you wonder why you haven't found him yet.
Yeah, I know. It's
But that whole Death Adder is now in a patch of leaves and a bit of grass that's no more than, you know, a meter squared, if that. And you would have no idea that he was there.
No.
It is surrounded by road base.
Yes.
There's no way for it to dig or hide.
In fact, you know, this is, you know,
almost ideal hunting habitat for these shallow leaf litter that they can poke their head up a little bit like he's doing
Like
just
he's
now.
doing right now.
Which I have to get a photo of. And if it wasn't right next to the road, he'd have an ideal little ambush position with his tail right now. Is he luring with his tail now?
He's luring with his tail right now.
No, don't disturb him. We'll just see if he'll get another lure out there, because that was incredible. He just settled into the leaf litter right here in front of us, and actually used his tail as a lure right now. So despite all of the commotion and activity around him, he's hunting. He's trying to lure in something to come and have a look at his tail.
If I had not seen that adder slither into that point and bury into that point, I would not be able to see it right now.
Oh, good luck, right?
Yeah.
Good luck seeing that, even
I would not,
knowing
I would
that
not be
it's
able to
there.
see that right now. It just looks like a rock sitting amongst some bark and
Yeah.
leaves.
We're going to have some very good find the snake photos for for the audience from this one. All right, guys. Look, we've disturbed him enough. He's obviously hunting. He's off the road. He's only half a meter off the road. I feel like we should probably move him in a little bit further.
Because a car slightly veering will take
Yeah.
him out very quickly.
Yep.
Okay, Hamish, off you go, mate. Guys, we'll
I'll stand back.
Yep, absolutely.
Okay.
And there's no need to rush when you're moving wildlife.
Nice and easy.
I think that's an important deal. People get a bit excited and frantic and they want to rush, and just relax, take your time.
The less you disturb them, the better.
The end result is to safely relocate a living animal. Rushing is only going to add stress to an otherwise unstressful situation.
And look at this. We're literally less than half a meter from the road, and we watch this guy just completely disappear into this pile of leaf litter on the roadside, just on the road base. You know, you could accidentally park your car on him where he is, you know,
Yeah,
if
very
somebody
easily.
decided to pull up off the road here.
Very easily.
Oh man, isn't he a beautiful animal?
Or she, perhaps.
She. Definitely stunning. Alright, go for it, Hamish. Let's get him off and into safety, and we'll
So do you want to just get, that's a really nice little position.
that is
That is stunning.
It's going to be, yeah.
That's a good photo to show the people at home.
Alright. Okay. Alright. I think that'll do for him.
Cool. Can I get a photo? Or is that
I've-
going to work or not with the light?
I'll get a quick photo with you in it. I've already got one with you with when we found it on the road, but I'll get a quick one right now, and then we'll get him going, shall we?
Yep.
It's like a find the snake shot as well.
Cool.
I'm gonna back up a bit. Hang on. Beautiful.
Alright.
Right, hang on one sec. I'm just gonna get this recording back on. Alright, go for it, Hamish.
Okay.
Relocating a death adder
Yep.
from the road
I'll
base.
keep, you want your torch back? Yep.
Yeah, so, like we said, moving snakes in the same direction that they were already going is a very important point to me. Now,
He
the
came
death
over
adders-
from that side of the road to this
Yeah,
side of the
Went
road.
this direction, yep.
So we're not going to take him back over the other side of the road,
So,
even though he may scoot a little bit.
the death adders are a chunky snake. The balance point on them is actually about 1/3 of the way back from their head. And any further than that, and they will slide straight off the front of your hook.
Just
yeah,
like
it
that.
looks like it's happening.
He's not sitting.
There we go.
And that's a set. Right. And if we just get him a little bit further off the road base, we're happy.
Ah, there we go.
Yeah.
There we go, and that's what we want.
There we go, buddy.
There we go.
That's it.
Nice little patch of grass.
Yeah, good 5-6 meters away from the road.
All right.
Beautiful.
And that's it.
And see you later, mate.
And that's the common death adder, the Conserve antarcticus. Wow, what another find. I'm very excited by that. That's incredible.
What a night, what a night.
What a night, guys. All right, let's get back in the car, see what else we can find. We spotted some kind of small mammal on the road verge here. We pulled up safely in a nice spot, so we're just going to have a little bit of a look around and see if we can find them. Not sure what it was, but always fun to see what we can find. And look, when you do pull up and look for something else, do keep an eye out in the leaf litter. You're stopping, you're not moving as fast. You know, you might see something buried in the leaf litter that, you know, at full, well, hopefully you're only doing 20-30k an hour, but still, you can miss things. Any luck up there, Hamish? I think we're out of luck.
It's gone.
Yeah, I think so.
Look like another little Melamese, some sort of
Well,
small
look,
native
plenty
mammal.
of food about.
That's a good point to make. We've seen several small mammals out on the road. And if you're wondering what these snakes are doing on the road, it's two things. It's warming up, basking on the heat left over, and hunting, basically. So we've got a good temperature and we've got food.
Perfect conditions.
Yep.
Wind's starting to pick up a little bit now, but
yeah.
which can be make things a bit tricky, but it'll die down as well. I think from what we had a look on in the weather.
Especially once we get to the lower, more rainforesty areas, they're a lot more protected from the wind.
Well, we're back in the car and getting ready to roll. Seatbelts, people.
Seatbelts.
How we doing? You ready to roll?
Ready.
What's up, guys? We're back. You're back listening to Wildlife Cake and Cocktails. What is this, episode 8 that we're doing? Another WCC audio conversations?
This will be 8, yes.
This will be 8. I'm here with Hamish Noller from that Reptile Guy, UQ Wildlife Science student, and we've got Kristian Summers from Summers Sound Solutions, our intrepid producer. My name's Yanni Tokola, and we're road cruising for reptiles. We're finally coming down the back end of Mount Glorious. Man, we've had a good night already. I don't care if we don't find anything else because we've already found a Stevens banded snake and a death adder. That would top a lot of herpers' lists of species that they would wish to find up here. What do you reckon, Hamish? What do you think? What do you think they're going to find now?
Yeah, like you said, I just don't care. Well,
You found your unicorn?
I found my unicorn. That's a death that I pretty much just stop right now. I'm happy. Anything that we find from now on is a bonus as far as I'm concerned.
It's all gravy. That was a beautiful snake, wasn't it?
That was. And this is, I was referring to you before, this little hill here, nobody else uses this nickname, it's just me. I call it Small-Eyed Hill. Because I just continuously find so many small-eyed snakes.
Eastern small-eyes, Cryptophis nigricans, a small black-coloured snake with a sort of pinkish belly.
Often mistaken for red bellies.
For baby red bellies, because they stay a bit smaller.
I've lost count how many times I've had either calls for red bellies or people see them and think they're a red belly, and it's almost always a small-eyed snake.
Absolutely.
Primarily because they are a little bit more common in the dry sclerophyll kind of habitats. The red bellies like more of the moisture, they like the waterways. So if you're finding it in a house, certainly the areas that I service for snake catching, I get a lot of small-eyeds. Very cool little snake.
Yeah, they are a lovely little snake. I do, and look, you do find them here quite a lot because it's it's rainforesty, it's quite hilly, and they like to cruise around in the leaf litter a little bit, like a lot of these other snakes. But wonderful little snake. Now we're coming down to the back end of Mount Glorious, as we said. Things have gotten a lot more rainforesty. There's a lot of bigger fig trees and eucalyptus trees, and the
tree ferns,
you
broadleaf.
can
plants.
see a lot of little native fruits and flowers around the place, and a lot more vine as well. So look, that understory is really starting to get quite thick and very dense, and so are the leaf litter piles on the side of the road. So this downhill part, you quite often find a lot of wildlife here. However, the wind has picked up, and
what is it about the wind that drives away the reptiles?
Yeah.
I'm not sure if it just messes with their scent trail so they can't hunt as well, but just seems to drive them down to cover a little bit.
Environment for them.
Yeah, blowing dust around at eye level can't be too comfortable for a snake whose eyes are almost always at ground level.
Breathing it in, I imagine it's just an uncomfortable environment to be exposed to.
Right. So we prefer a nice still area. Oh, there goes another little Melamies.
Gosh, we are just seeing so many of them tonight.
Yeah. Maybe third, fourth, is it?
Yeah, fourth one I think it is.
Yeah. So plenty of food for the various predators that are up here as well. And man, there is some really cool animals up here during the daytime as well. There's land mullets up here as well. This is about as far north as you'll find land mullets, which are they in the Bellatoria now?
Land mullets.
It's a very large skink. In fact, is it the largest skink? I'm pretty sure it's the largest skink. Type of lizard. Big, black-looking, large. Very large scales, kind of like a mullet, but they're
pretty
very
similar to the blue tongue in terms of morphology.
But in behaviour they're quite different. They're communal.
Yeah.
Living in big family and social groups under large rainforest logs. So when these big forest logs fall down, they'll excavate big tunnels and warrens underneath them and live together in groups, which is it's very interesting sociality in the insects. If anybody is interested, I recommend checking out the studies coming out of Lizard Lab down in New South Wales. Fantastic stuff with reptile behaviour. But land mullets up here. Occasionally see them scooting off on the side of the road during the daytime.
Now this section right here, I know for a fact that there is foxes out here. I've seen quite a few of them, and feral cats. Now it's no surprise that reptiles, especially lizards, smaller lizards like your skinks, are a very common target for these feral predators. And obviously that I don't know if there has been any surveys or data taken on the skink populations up here and the potential effects from feral predators, but I imagine that they would be one of the major threats to native skinks.
Well, we haven't seen any. There goes another Melamies. Look at it crossing the road right in our headlights right now. And you see what I mean? It's got that short, non-furry tail, tiny little rounded ears,
bounding off,
and very sort of oval-shaped overall kind of body form, and then like the long straight tail rather than a big thick tail. Very cool little animal. Sorry, go on, Hamish.
Anyway,
you were saying about our cats up here.
Unfortunately, there has been quite a large population for probably a very long time of feral cats and foxes, and I imagine feral dogs as well, living up in the bushland here.
Yeah.
And I have no doubt that does take a toll on especially the larger skinks that we have here. But I don't know what data, if any, has actually been taken, but it would be interesting to see.
Well, I'm honestly surprised that we haven't seen a cat yet, because you see them so frequently up here, honestly. When I come up here, it's one of the very, very common features of my night drives through Mount Glorious is the feral animals. I know we've gone on and on about them, but it's because they're usually quite so common. Really, tonight we're seeing all natives. I haven't even seen a single cane toad on the drive up, which you do normally see a couple of.
Oh, at least, if not millions of them, especially when it rains.
Yeah.
It's hard.
Again, it has been dry as hell, so
yeah,
the cane toad thing is not entirely surprising.
Yeah, the amphibians in general, there's not a lot of them out at the moment, just because of this dry weather.
We might find some down at the creek line. I imagine we will, down at
for sure,
at the bottom of the mountain there. And also, there's some fantastic frogs up here. The mixophies, the mixophies, the barred frogs, the greater barred frog.
Yeah, plenty of those.
Yeah, fantastic, big predatory frog. Almost looks like the size of a small cane toad when they get to adult size, but they don't have all that warty skin. They're rather smooth, and they have these beautiful tiger stripes on them a lot of the time, and a big fat black eye band. Fantastic big predatory frog that lives up here in the mountains.
Speaking of the greater barred frog,
yes.
Now they're quite a large frog for
they are
Australia and around this area.
Indeed.
But I just wanted to bring this up because I thought it was...
And there's a big branch on the road that we have to come around here. Sorry, guys.
Go around that one.
Yep, very carefully.
One of the most crazy frogs that I have ever seen. I apologise, I don't know the scientific or Latin name for it, but the common name is the smoky mountain frog.
Smoky mountain frog.
This is not an Australian species. These live over in Ecuador, in the Amazon.
Wow.
Now, I found them along the swampy areas, or it's not even swampy, it was sort of just boggy. It was like a rainforest,
right.
But the soil was just mush.
Yeah, super marshy.
Super marshy, yeah. And these are along the edge of the Napo River, which connects into the Amazon River. These frogs, I kid you not, are about the size of a pawpaw. Imagine just a pawpaw sitting on the ground with legs. That's how big these frogs are. And if you Google images of them, you find some of the... there's another Melamese.
Wow.
If you Google images of these frogs and you think they're photoshopped, they're not. These things would provide a good meal for 2 people.
Do you know that? Did you know that for a fact?
I know that for a fact because I was told. I didn't kill any native frogs in Ecuador, but I have been told and I've read about them.
Right.
So, I thought it was a joke when I first saw it. I was wandering around at night on my own and I saw this giant frog. I thought it was some statue that the guides had put there just as a joke.
Just
it wasn't. It was actually a giant frog.
Wow.
And I almost didn't believe it. Like, I went down and it just didn't move. It was so still. So I went down and I put a lens cap next to it just to try to get, because the photos I was getting weren't doing justice to the size.
Yeah, there's no perspective.
Sure. The perspective, this thing was enormous. I was almost scared of it. Like, I feel like this thing, this would like hunt me if I was down there.
And you catch Australian venomous snakes.
I catch Australian venomous snakes for a job. And this thing was, I just didn't know how to feel. I'd never seen a frog this big before.
Isn't that fear of the new or the unknown something that you haven't experienced? You can understand how people would be afraid of Australian venomous snakes if they haven't spent time around with them. You know, I know a lot of we obviously know a lot of snake catchers and stuff, you know, it's amongst the snake catcher community. There's a big thing of educating people, and it is a tough part of the job because you know, people don't have time or don't take the time to expose themselves to these animals the way that we do. And, you know, just the same way as you were freaked out from that frog, yet you can happily bag a big eastern brown snake. Just that little bit of, you know, the uncanny valley, the strange factor.
Yeah,
it seeps in.
Anything different.
Yeah,
it's that fear of the unknown. Like, I don't know how this animal might react to me. I'm not used to it.
Absolutely, yeah.
Another Melamese.
Jesus.
No shortage of Melamese tonight.
I'm surprised that we haven't seen a million big carpet pythons out here feeding on them. They're probably all in ambush positions in the trees around us.
Snatching them up.
Yeah, anytime one of those Melamese goes up a branch, they're going to meet a face with teeth.
Like gaps.
It is a shame, isn't it, that people have such a poor view of snakes.
It is. They do such a great job for us.
They're so important to the ecosystem. They're important to us. They keep the rat populations down, especially your carpet pythons living in the suburbs.
Yeah.
And the eastern browns living out in the rural areas. I mean, obviously they sort of do cross over, but generally speaking, you get your eastern browns a little bit further west and in the rural areas, drier areas. And the carpet pythons love these city suburbs.
Yeah. And look, one of the big things here in Queensland is, I mean, it's also spread in livestock and other animals, but rodents can spread and do spread a disease called Leptospirosis. It's the most prevalent of any state. I believe it was actually discovered in Innisfail amongst the banana plantations and banana plantation workers catching this disease from the bush rats and the rodents up in those areas. Anything that a infected rodent has urinated on can spread a lovely spirochete bacteria into your bloodstream, which can eventually get into your brainstem and give you encephalopathy. Swelling of the brain inside the cranium, and this is what the snakes are protecting us from, right? Anything that a rodent has, an infected rodent has urinated on that you touch, and then you touch a mucous membrane somewhere, has the potential to transfer that horrible spirochete bacteria into your system. So not only do venomous snakes provide a bunch of amazing products for us, what's the heart medicine that comes? ACE inhibitors. I think the first class of ACE inhibitors. Didn't they come from a Bothrops viper or something? I'm sure it came from some kind of snake.
This is your field of expertise.
Well, it's a heart medicine that's used for clotting, and as we know, snake venoms, they do interesting things with clotting factors of the blood. So there's a rich resource of pharmaceuticals there for biodiscovery and for making drugs which save people as well as for hunting prey. So, you know, on top of their aesthetic beauty and the way that they keep our agricultural pests down and our urban pests down and our disease-bearing pests down, they're also a wonderful resource for biodiscovery and drugs and for saving lives.
And while we do obviously appreciate that not everyone has the same fascination or interest as we do for potentially deadly animals, I mean, these animals are not out to get us. As we have proved tonight, we have been sitting here meters away from some of the most deadly snakes that Australia has to offer. Were we chased? No.
Well, at least
did
one
they? Well, yeah. Did they? I mean, they're not going to go out of their way to harm people. If they don't feel threatened, they're just going to mind their own business.
Absolutely.
They're going to do their thing.
I'm not trained to handle snakes or, you know, be near reptiles or anything, and I felt rather comfortable with it.
Well, because we at no stage threatened the animal.
No.
Did it decide that it needed to threaten us back? Did it feel the need to threaten us back? Now, threatening to a snake is very different to what threatening is to us. We use communication language and, you know, body language and all that.
Yep.
For them, you walking up to them is threat enough.
Yep.
Right? They're
In space.
Absolutely. We're a very, very large animal. Their eyes are, you know, they're down at our toe level. So, you know, we're a big skyscraper walking up to them. Right?
Yeah.
And interestingly, we did go over some research in the last podcast about the rates of bites, the rates of envenomation, all those kind of things. People want to go back and check out the podcast we did with Scott Iper. All the data is mentioned in there if you want to have a look.
The Ronell Welton paper and the Jeff Ibista, both very interesting papers on snakebite.
Not to mention Scott Iper is quite an interesting guy as well.
He's a fantastic character.
So
He is a character, absolutely.
Oh, and we're just coming through Burnout Town. We're going through some people come up here to do big donuts, and we just drove through a big cloud of tire smoke. Oh man, how's that rubber smell? Jeez, it interrupts the lovely
serenity
night rainforest smell a little bit. The old burning tires. How was the cloud that we just drove through?
That was something else. I've seen a few clouds of burning rubber before, and that was pretty reasonable.
So some people come up here to appreciate the wildlife, and other people come up here to
be the wildlife.
Yeah.
Okay. So we're getting down towards the back half of Mount Cootha now, the back side.
Now I'll tell you, this is actually my most successful area for bandies. This is where I find
them.
On this downward
for
stretch.
reminding me. Another unicorn species that I have managed to not.
You've never found a bandy in
not up here.
Oh, really?
No, that's another unicorn species. I know they're up here. My friends have found them.
This is the stretch. This downward stretch is where I normally come across a bandy.
Yeah,
Bandy is a fantastic looking snake, by the way. Black and white, thick, fat black and white bands.
Basically like a noodle. They don't really have any real changes between the head and the tail.
Yeah, they don't taper into a thin tail. They end quite bluntly on both ends.
Yeah, the tail is quite... I mean, and that goes to show because basically every time you're looking at a snake, a general rule of thumb is the longer the tail, the more likely it is to live in the trees. Shorter tail, more likely to live on the ground. You look at your Aspidites genus, so your blackheads and your womas, ground-dwelling pythons, very short. The tail doesn't really do a whole lot. Bandy is like that, but even more. It lives underground. Almost no tail. Like, it basically just tapers off not long after the cloaca.
Yeah.
And then the other end is your tree snakes with very long tails to help them stick up in the trees and hang on.
Yep.
That's interesting.
Yeah, it's... I mean, I don't like to throw out rules of thumb too often because people like to run with that and make false assumptions or think that they suddenly know the magic key to identifying snakes, but no.
In general, yeah.
it's just an interesting little evolutionary feature.
Very, very cool about them as well is with that black and white coloration and the way that the scales kind of interlock with each other right at the border. When they start moving, to the human eye, they go kind of grey. It's kind of a staccato light effect. It's very difficult to tell which direction they're going when they first take off. It kind of tricks the eye a little bit. It's kind of like a strobe light. Just because they're black and white, it's so contrasting, and like the scales interlock with each other, I guess. Once they're...
Stop.
Yep, we got something.
We've got a golden crown.
Ah, lovely. Okay, now
Squamulosis.
I am going to pull over safely.
Yep.
I will meet you guys in a second. Do you guys have your head towards John?
Yep, I've got mine.
Wonderful.
I'm next to Hamish, yep. Yeah, mate, just a snake on here. Yeah.
Don't go near me, I got cheesy.
It's all good, mate, we just... Yep, okay. Cool, no worries, mate. Cheers, thanks for that. Wow.
I'm hoping to just like...
So less than an ideal catch. We just actually had to pull him out from underneath a
Truck,
truck tire.
But luckily the truckie was nice.
Yeah, he was lovely about it.
Good, yeah, good
Now,
break.
we have a golden crown snake that I've had to tail from... luckily that truck driver was very nice about it. Is that some injury on him? That's an old injury.
Yeah, that's
Yeah, that's all granulated. That could be a bite from something. All right, I'm gonna go grab my camera. And wow, look at the threat display he's giving us. There you go, Hamish.
Oh.
He's not going far. Oh, maybe he is.
Got him? Come on. There we go.
All right, let's
Try and let's get them off the road.
Yeah.
Our little one.
All right. Beautiful snake.
Yeah, beautiful underside. The colouring on the
Yeah,
underside.
if you'll stand up and give us a bit of a threat display, you'll really get to see that underbelly that we were talking about.
Lovely pattern on the head as well.
And that'll be the golden crown of the species' namesake. Wonderful little animals, but obviously he's going to be a little bit harassed after us having to...
And that big loud truck rolling by.
Yeah, and him nearly being underneath its tyres. Oh well, look, he's not going to sit for us for very long,
No.
and that's understandable.
We'll let them go.
I think we'll move this. But beautiful snake anyway. So the golden crown snake, big lizard eater, correct?
Yep, loves its skinks, geckos, most of the small native lizards.
So he's cruising around up here at night time, mostly finding sleeping lizards. So they're cruising around in rock crevices and leaf litter, looking for skinks, daytime skinks that are actually asleep. Makes them much easier to hunt, especially when you don't have super powerful venom like this guy. He's not a super powerful, mammal predator that's hunting things down. He's cruising up on sleeping lizards at night time. And there we got a little bit of that belly. And you know what? What do you reckon, Hamish? Let's get him off the road and let him go.
Yep.
Wow, that truck. Whew. Very nearly a squash situation for him. Was he heading towards the other side of the road, mate? I think he was, wasn't he?
Yeah, he might have been going the other side. He was just sort of sitting there pretty stationary.
Well, he
Then
was
he started-
facing that way anyway.
Then he started going on the truck.
Yeah, then he started going underneath the wheels of a truck.
Yeah,
Well, that was a good quick tail there, and
easy.
there we go. Beautiful Cacophis squamulosis. Honestly, such a beautiful underbelly coloration on these snakes, and that's a
Yeah.
decent size of a snake, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, they do get bigger. I found
he doesn't really have that central stripe too much, except in the upper body, does he?
Look, there's quite a bit of variation in the
There is actually.
golden crowns, especially up here. I've found them with or their entire belly
Yeah.
is orange.
Yeah.
I found them with extremely clean striping.
Yeah.
Basically just 2 train tracks going down the belly.
Fantastic paper written by John Scanlon on the Cacophis snakes as well, if anybody wants to have a read on their morphology and their evolution and skulls and whatnot. Beautiful snakes. Wow, guys, that's number 3, Cacophis squamulosus, the golden crown snake.
Excellent.
Wonderful. And we saved him from being smushed under a truck.
Even better.
All right, let's see what else we can find, shall we? Traffic coming, everybody off the road, and we'll let them go past. All right. So, wow, that's number 3 for the night, golden crown snake. Guys, we're heading back on the road. Let's turn these in-car lights off. And unfortunately, as well, being a weekend, a lot of vehicle traffic up here tonight. So, as mentioned, do be careful. Look out for other vehicles. Pull over safely when you do have to pull over, and keep an eye out. Because obviously there's wildlife on the roads. A lot of snakes.
A lot of venomous snakes.
A lot of venomous snakes. It's fantastic, isn't it?
I mean, look, I like carpet pythons. I like tree snakes. They're fine. They're great. But let's be honest, there's no shortage of them.
Yeah.
Finding some of your local elapids is a much more special and rewarding experience.
Well, they're much rarer, and it takes a bit of work to find them a lot of the time. As mentioned, you've been up here for how long looking for a death adder?
Oh, I've been coming up here for years.
Yeah. And so look, when you kind of read a little bit about a species, its requirements, its habitat, where you're most likely to find it, and then you go out and actually do manage to successfully find them in their native habitat, hey, there's a bit of a rush.
Well, and yeah, look, I've had friends come up here who knew nothing about herping or reptiles. They just happened to be here.
Yeah.
And then they come back with photos of death adders, and it's just the most painful thing. People who put no effort in find the thing that you put all this effort in, and just by pure fluke.
Oh, we all have unicorns.
Yeah.
So, look, I was out at I think where were we? We were somewhere out in Western Queensland. There was a site that I was working on with a good friend Lisa Owen, who's been on the podcast before. And I'm still yet to find a black-headed python in the wild. I think she's found several now, and it usually seems to be, well, at least for me, somebody always finds a black-headed python a couple of days after I leave site. I'm yet to find one in the wild.
Yep.
Was that a leaf? I think that was a leaf.
I got overexcited, but the wind is starting to blow a few leaves around, and it does make it tricky to spot what's going on.
But hey, there's still golden crowns out on the road, so I think we should be. But yeah, look, unicorns, it's just a matter of luck a lot of the time.
Well, that's it. It's right place, right time.
Yeah.
And I mean, if it's crossing a path or a road, you may not have very big window of time to be able to cross that path at the exact same time. It's just luck at the end of the day.
Exactly.
You can put yourself in the right place at the right time with the right weather, but if you're not driving down that road or walking that path at the same time as the snake, that's it.
It's not going to have any luck.
It's not going to happen.
Yep.
Yeah, just
And
a chance, yeah.
I have no doubt that I have driven past tens of thousands of snakes that were about to cross the road.
There goes
just
a frog
crossed
mouth.
the road.
There goes a frog mouth.
Oh, nice.
Up into the top. Did you see him go?
Missed that one. Yeah.
Tawny frog mouth up in the trees. Cool. All right. Well, the frog mouths are out hunting as well.
All those mice running around.
Yeah, and snakes as well. Big on the frog mouth and nightjar menu.
Yep.
They're going to be out here hunting these snakes on the road just the same as we are. We got a bit of a kinship with the owls.
Yeah, you do often see powerful owls. I love seeing the powerful
You do?
owls.
I've never seen a powerful owl in the wild.
It's one that I just see all the time, and
Again, it's a unicorn for me.
It's just strange, just like, because I'll often be driving along the roads, and basically the powerful owls will use these roads as a corridor, essentially.
Right.
Because, well, why not? It's easier. So I've had a few times now where an owl has just flown out of a tree and is just flying right down the road using that big open area through the trees, and I'm just sitting there driving under it, and it's cool to see. They're a big, impressive bird.
Powerful owl is the right name for that bird. They are they're a solid creature,
and they're quite a like up here you'll see along the sides of the roads there's signs for them, and
that's dead on the road. That looked like a dead on the road something.
Looked like a brown tree snake.
It did look like a brown tree snake, a Boiga irregularis. We're going to do a little turn. Actually, no, this is a safe spot to pull over right here.
Yeah, if we're going.
And we're going to walk back and see what it was. I imagine that those previous cars that went past us probably cleaned that one up. Well, you can hear the frogs calling. Plenty of amphibians calling in the creek, which is a good sign for us. We're coming down to the creek soon, so we're going to be doing a bit of a walk. It was up at the start.
Yeah. So I could see a bit of underbelly, which doesn't usually suggest good things. There was a bit of
There it is.
coiling. Now I wouldn't be surprised at all if this snake has been cleaned up by those cars that came through just before us.
Absolutely.
What have we got? Yeah, little Boiga
It is a brown tree
irregularis.
snake.
Yeah, completely.
So that's quite fresh. That's from this evening.
Oh yeah, definitely from this evening.
There's
You can see no rigor mortis whatsoever.
no rigor mortis. That's about as recent as it gets. So the couple of cars you may have heard going past us, tearing down, doing burnouts and stuff. This is the result. You know, when you don't take care on the roads and you don't look out. This was easily avoidable. We saw it. It wasn't hard.
No.
It's right. It's quite obvious.
I mean, it's essentially an orange snake on a grey road. It stands out. It's going to stand out more than almost anything. And that's how old do you reckon that would be? It's a pretty young snake. Certainly not large by any standards for the brown trees up here.
Under a metre.
Yeah.
Oh well, we'll take a quick photo. We'll pull him off the road and make sure nobody else gets hit while feeding on him. But yeah, like we mentioned, this is going to be a lot of what you find out here. And I mean, while it's beautiful and fantastic finding your live animals, this is a bit of an eye opener. It really is. Snakes are delicate. All native animals are pretty delicate when it comes down to it. All right, let's move him off. All right. And he goes back to become food for something else in the food web, hopefully.
The circle of life.
That's right. Alright, we'll walk along the leaf litter fringes on the way back and back in the car. Ooh, hear those calls. Now also, this is where the microbats will be.
Under the bridge here. Well, not that we can see under this bridge, but some of the lower bridges.
We'll go to some of the lower bridges, yeah.
Now, when I was referring to temperatures of water and nearby, down there,
That's where you were doing
it was
swimming pool.
150, 200 metres that way.
Okay.
There's the path up here that you can take.
Yeah. Wow, those calls are amazing.
They're incredible.
How's those nighttime noises?
Oh, it sounds incredible. Could we just stand still for a moment?
Yep.
Turn the lights off.
Don't stand in the middle of the road while we turn the lights on.
And the view of the night sky is spectacular from where we're standing right now.
That calling sound.
It is absolutely
I have a
breathtaking.
polluting noise to add to it.
What species?
That's all me, guys. I'm not blaming the dog for that one. Alright, we're still cruising here. Down the lower end. Oh, that was a squashed cane toad.
Yay.
If I ever saw
Best
one.
type of cane toad.
And nothing since our dead on road brown tree snake.
Hasn't been too long yet.
No, we've only been on the road a little.
We're heading down to, so we're getting right towards the back now, getting to a bit more of a flat area, less mountainous. There's a couple of parks and recreational areas. We can go for a nice little walk, cruise around.
And all this lovely she oak and casuarina and was it white oak? Is it down here? It's a white oak, I believe. Beautiful trees, anyway. And we're coming down to White Cedar Flats. That's the one. Lovely little park down the bottom here. And we're just going to go for a short walk around. We're not far off now.
So this is the death adder that I found that it had been hit.
Was near here.
Just near here. This is the area that I found it.
And how lucky are we tonight? We got a live one. Ooh. That's something special.
That was special. That was a gorgeous little snake.
It was.
I've had a great run tonight.
And another squish toad.
Another squash
That's
toad.
okay. We're fine with that.
Ooh. Was that something
Yeah,
shiny?
can we just stop?
Yeah, that was either something
it was
artificial
either-
or
It was
scale
either
shine.
It was either plastic or a
Or
blind snake.
Yeah.
The blind snakes are shiny little things.
Yeah. We'll go
You can
back and have a
spot
little
them very
wander.
quickly.
They sure find it wheeling around in the darkness.
I just saw a little bit of something up the front. I'm just having a quick look.
Up goes Hamish.
Okay.
Where's he going? What did he see? Look at him running off down the track.
Oh. I don't know, you just have an instinct, don't you?
Yeah, it's
Just an instinct, you feel it, something there.
yeah. Well, I'm not sure what it is. You know, I think just after a time you get attuned to certain environmental conditions that even if you're not picking them visually, going, oh, it's this temperature, you just start feeling the same conditions that you've always caught snakes in.
So
Yep.
I did see something,
Yeah.
and I know it was something because it's now not there. So
Yeah, right.
it was. I just sort of saw something about 100 meters up in front of the car,
Ah, bugger.
but by the time I got there, it was.
Thoughts on
long
what
gone.
it was? Snake shaped?
It looked snake-shaped. It was a lightish brown. I wouldn't be surprised if it was another brown tree snake.
I've also seen a lot of Burton's legless lizards up here.
Yeah, it looked bigger,
Okay.
but similar sort of colour. So
Okay, where was our shiny guy? She was
now
up
shiny
here.
guy was on this little section,
Right
where
at
these-
the end of it, wasn't it?
It was towards the end where these barriers were. Quite a lot of leaf litter. I'll look on this side.
I'm sort of in the middle of the road here.
Yeah, it's always so hard to remember how far back things were. I thought it was on this bridge section here.
Yeah, you're correct. You're absolutely right. Alright, let's turn it back around and peel back, I guess. Because it definitely was on the bridge.
Yeah.
Temperature's dropped a bit.
It's a bit chilly, yeah.
We're getting...
Much lower
Yeah.
down now, so. Yeah, looking for something shining. No.
You know
Nature
what?
of the
It must
game.
have been a blind snake then. Or it was that.
No, it wasn't that.
UGL.
Was it, this is... Anything?
No.
It must have been a blind snake. Done fucked off.
Perhaps.
Is that two that just escaped from us? Well, again, you know, pretty successful night.
Number 2 for tonight, number who knows what for ever. That's a bit of the nature of the game, unfortunately.
The
Sometimes
amount of sticks and leaves that you end up stopping
Well,
for while doing this is
sticks and leaves you stop for.
snakes that you
Oops.
can't stop for.
Alright, back in.
Yeah, it's always
And
frustrating
we're all seatbelts up.
when you're driving along, see a snake, and there's a car behind you.
Oh yeah, it's the
And you
worst.
see it very suddenly, and you don't have time to stop.
Well, don't have time to stop without causing a major accident.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
Which means you can no longer catch any more snakes. So this is to be avoided.
That's it. Think into the future.
Absolutely. Would not be surprised if it was a brown tree here, because there's 2 bridges over the creek. It's a perfect place for a climbing snake. All the vine and water, particularly if those guys are out here hunting around those creeks. Oh, something.
Well, something.
That was something. All right, we'll turn it around.
Something?
Yeah, there was something. I think it might be an eastern smalleye. Well, it looked like it might be something.
It was quite dark in colour.
It was quite dark in colour. A little bit shiny, so reminiscent of reptile scales. They will have a bit of shine to them. They will have a bit of glint, especially at night time in this light.
And the eastern smalleye especially is quite a glossy
Rather
snake.
iridescent, yes. Alright.
It was just here. That's it there.
Yep. That's a snake. I'm pulling up here safely.
Oh, where is this?
On the right hand side.
Oh.
Right near the centre line, right near the double whites. Alright, let's jump out.
Okay, let's have a look.
Oh, I hear hooning.
Yep. There's cars coming, so we'll have to make sure we get him off the road nice and quick. Well, what do we got here, Hamish?
We have a dead-on-road small-eyed snake. So we were right about the small-eyed snake part. Unfortunately, this guy is
Also been hit by a
being
car.
hit. And it's almost hard to tell where.
No,
But there's a bit of a damage about halfway down the body on
blood
the side.
on the road.
But apart from that, I mean,
You'd be hard pressed to tell that it had been killed
That's
until
a
you get this
shame.
close.
that is a shame.
Beautiful little snake anyway. Eastern smalleye. You can see it's got that lovely little pinkish belly. We will take a couple of photos for you.
It's like a worm almost.
Yeah.
You see
But
that
this guy's
iridescence as
actually
well.
more venomous than the red belly black snake.
Wow. All these things.
One. So in terms of numbers of death,
One? I think we
I
have
believe
one
there is
recorded.
one recorded
Yeah.
from a small-eyed snake. None recorded from red bellies.
That's correct.
None officially.
I believe
recorded.
there's one shady record from the 1960s
There is.
for a black coloured snake,
Yeah.
which could very well have been an eastern brown. I'm going to get a little shot of his eye here so you can see what we mean by small-eyed in comparison to the other snakes. Very, very, very small eye. Again, being a nocturnal snake, these guys aren't exactly visual hunters. They're more digging around in the leaf litter. Was that respiration?
No.
No.
No,
I'm
I
hoping.
think
I was just hoping we don't have to do another euthanasia here. Yeah.
No, this guy's well and truly checked out.
Yeah, I think that was just a bit of a muscle spasm.
Yeah.
But that being said, guys, do be careful with these dead snakes. Just a recently deceased snake still has plenty of fangs in its teeth, and if you trigger that fang sheath, the membrane around the fang, it will inject. So, you know.
I mean, there can be venom just sitting on the teeth, in the glands.
Particularly if
number
its
of
head's
things.
been struck. Okay.
Yeah, that's a good point, particularly if its head's been struck. And that's the other thing, is it doesn't take a lot of venom to do quite a bit of damage. Even if it doesn't kill you, the lasting effects can actually be quite severe.
That's like sort of chronic health effects afterwards.
Yeah, there's other chronic health effects that people don't realise. You know, I've got friends who have been nicked on the finger. They were okay, but 2 years later they still haven't regained their sense of taste and smell.
Wow.
So there's other, I guess, lasting effects that, I mean, if anything, it's almost worse. Like, can you imagine not being able to taste or smell anything?
That's horrible, yeah.
No food, no coffee in the morning. And that, you got to live like that. Like, those are the consequences you got to live with if you,
Yeah.
yeah.
And also something for everyone to consider if they want to get into working with venomous snakes. You know, it is something to take quite seriously, the risk of envenomation. I'll get you to hold my camera here, Mr. Hamish. Is everybody strapped in?
Yes.
We've all got our belts on? All right, we're turning it around again and heading back down to the creek. Wow. Plenty of snakes out. Unfortunately, a few of them have been toastified, but I mean, this is the nature of herping. It is something that you have to get used to a little bit. The fact that other people don't look at the road as much as one might hope. All right.
The small-eyed snakes have got to be one of the most annoying to photograph in my experience.
They do not want to sit still at all.
Will not sit still.
That was the only time I've had an easy photographing session with an eastern small eye, and
with a dead one.
Yep.
That's dead,
That's prerequisite for a good photo shoot. So,
you know, once they're spooked, it's like a rough scale. You know, it's not going to sit there and pose at you. It's just going to thrash about and move. But if you don't spook it, if it's just slowly cruising, then hey, good times.
Unfortunately, I've never had that happen because you look at a small-eyed and they're spooked, and then suddenly they're thrashing about and just making a big old fuss.
Okay, there's a bit of action and a few people here at this campsite.
Which is strange because it's the middle of the night. So
well, I mean, people are out here camping and enjoying themselves and driving up and down the road.
it is school holidays. That's true.
School holidays as
So
well.
we're gonna have a bit more traffic. And
No, this is definitely too busy for reptiling.
Yep.
There's a
Okay.
whole bunch of- all right. So look, there is a few people out here camping. It looks to be a few kids out here with cars and a few families and campers and people gathering to socialise. Look, that's a bit too busy for us to walk around out there. So we're not going to do our walk there at the moment.
We've had a good run.
I think we're just going to have to keep going with the road cruising tonight. We'll do a walk. We'll do a proper walking herp show of another date when when it's not the school holidays, perhaps.
Yeah.
And there's less people trying to camp out and use the space as well. How does that sound, guys?
yeah,
Sounds good to me.
sounds like a plan.
I'd love to get out for a walk, but you know,
Hey, we've done really well.
yeah, that's all right. Hey guys, I think we're gonna turn off the recording and we'll be with you again when we're going down another section of the mountain, and then when we're heading up a lovely dirt road known as the Goat Track. Lovely spot for the occasional herp, but we'll talk to you soon, or if we find anything else on the road. Okay, what was that, Hamish?
That was an antechinus.
That was an
time.
antechinus that time.
That
yeah,
time.
with that long, pointier snout, more elongated, much sharper. Antechinus, possibly subtropical antechinus up here. Maybe yellow-footed antechinus. We didn't really see its face.
Well, yeah, from the car, seeing a very small mammal bounce across a road, it's quite hard to get an exact ID.
Well, look, a lot of the time, you know, they get stunned in your headlights, which is, you know, how a lot of mammals get struck. They get that, you know, that night blindness when you hit those big nocturnal eyes with the beam of death that is the headlight. They just sit there stunned. And he stood there for us for just a little bit, but not long enough for us to get the camera out.
By far, the best mammal I have come across while driving, and this one still baffles me and several of the people that I've told as well. It was a phascogale.
Phascogale?
Now, for people who don't know what a phascogale is, it is sort of like, imagine a rat kind of body, very, very sort of like much more pointed snout, and a big black bushy tail. Now these mammals usually live up in the treetops. They very rarely come down to the ground. Normally they're running around, you know, in the canopy, foraging for nuts and fruit and bugs and whatever else they eat. I don't really know. But normally they're up in the canopy. And for some reason, I was driving through the suburbs near Mount Cootha. It was Barden. And there was a phascogale sitting in the road, not hit, not injured, and it just walked around the road for probably 5 minutes with me driving like a creeper at 0.5 kilometre an hour, just basically rolling
Was he a little bit lost,
behind this phascogale, walking along this suburban street.
I've seen them running across the road here. Did you see something just then?
Yes, I did.
What was that?
All right, so I don't actually know. That was interesting. It
That
looked
looked like mammals feeding on something.
It appeared to be some sort of little carnivorous marsupial feeding on roadkill. That was very interesting. Yeah, there's some.
I see them over there.
There's some sort of roadkill. I don't know what it is yet. And there is.
Let me grab the camera.
Possibly two
Alright, let me get a shot here.
small.
Oh, and it ran off.
One's gone.
Okay, so look, we got multiple creatures here. These are bandicoots.
Oh,
right,
no.
No, not bandicoots.
No. Are they Melamies or?
There's some sort of small.
Hard to tell from the amount of damage that's.
Yeah, look, we're basically looking at some meat and fur right now. This is a little hard to
heavily
identify.
Damaged.
But whatever it was that was feeding on them was a small,
Another small.
another small grey, hairy animal.
Are there Dunarts around here?
There is Dunner. Is there Dunnerts here? Dunnerts. I'm not sure.
Well, look, honestly, this is actually the most small marsupial action I have had up here. I don't normally see any.
Really?
And tonight we've seen quite a few. And we've also seen them feeding on roadkill. So
That was fascinating.
I'm usually focusing on the amphibians and reptiles, but I actually think I'm going to go have a look at a bit of information on small native marsupials in Mount Gloria and see, I don't know, get a bit of a better idea about what we're finding up here. And
Well, you mentioned
what's going on.
Fastagales, and I've seen them running across the road up here, and they're a wonderful little creature.
They are. They're a very wonderful little creature.
Alright. Well, guys, we're going to keep on cruising here. I guess we'll switch the recorder back on once, when and if we find something. We'll see you guys soon. Is everybody strapped in?
Yep.
Yep.
Alright, we're back on the road. Alright, and we're coming up the end of the goat track. Surprising we didn't find anything on it so far, anyway. It's usually at least got an eastern small island. But
It is getting a bit windier.
It
The
is.
track is a bit open. Maybe it's temperature is dropping a little bit
temperature
too
drop
much.
A little bit
yeah.
as well, yeah.
And how does the ground conserve the heat compared to the bitumen?
The ground definitely gets cooler a lot faster.
Right.
The bitumen manages to, it absorbs a lot of heat and it radiates it out quite quickly, but because of the mass of that road,
of
it's a really good effective heat sink till quite late in the evening. Whereas these dirt roads, they're a bit more natural, but they definitely don't conserve quite as much heat as those bitumen roads. They do conserve a lot though, and you will still find a lot of fauna here. It just looks like at some point the track's been redone fairly recently. All the little markers and everything look fairly new, which means they've probably brought a grader or a dozer through and leveled the road to make it nice and safe because of slips and landslides. But at the same time, you remove some of that leaf litter and edge, and not quite as much cover right on the verge of these roads for reptiles to hide in. So I think probably they're a bit more exposed out here than they have been in some of the other places where we've been looking.
Just a stick.
Another stick.
A bit of something.
So you end up stopping a lot for sticks and leaves while looking for herbs. It's embarrassing and foolish, and we continue to do it.
Part of it though.
It's all part of the game. Stick snake.
The barky straight snake.
Yeah. Alright. We're not far from the end of the goat track here now. And really not a lot of action. It's quite surprising. I would have put my money on at least a small eye, a brown tree snake or a python while coming up here. But
Well, we've had plenty of action tonight.
we have. It's been busy. And we're getting back onto the main road back towards Mount Glorious.
What was that creepy tree we just drove past?
There's a big fig tree there that's got like doll heads and stuff stapled onto it here along the
Yeah, that's kind of creepy.
It is fairly creepy.
Very,
it's
very
like doll heads and stuff in the middle of the night looming up out your headlights as you come around the corner. I quite like it, and I'd like not to tell people that it's coming.
Yeah.
It's part of the fun of driving Mount Glorious for me. People are like, oh God, what the hell is that? And I was like, yeah.
What's what?
What's what? What are you talking about?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't see anything. Yeah, that's the best way to go.
Yeah. Alright. And we're coming back up to the bitumen up here soon.
Right near the end.
Yeah.
And it's about 10 to 1.
10 to 1. Long night, but worth it. And still, maybe 45 minutes or so of drive back through the mountains. So we may yet come across some more fauna on the way home. I imagine we will. And look at that, we're on the bitumen again. Let's go. All right, wallaby.
That looks like Rufus. Either a Rufus Batong or potentially a paddy melon. Basically, it wasn't on the road when we arrived tonight, so it is a a recent hit. So what we're going to do is number one, go over to check the pouch. You never know when there is pouch young left in the mothers get hit by cars.
The blood is still trailing and moving away from it.
So this is very, very...
It's still twitching and moving, and that is a female, I believe. No, look at that.
Oh, it's a male.
Yeah, that has some
bleeding
very
from the
large,
ears.
very large testicles. What is that, a Rufa griseus? Is that a redneck wallaby, or is that a... Could be...
Definitely suffered traumatic brain injury.
Yeah,
this is pretty severe head injury.
Yeah.
No, it's too small to be a redneck.
It
It
is,
doesn't have a
isn't it?
long enough neck.
Yeah.
I would say it's a... I was thinking paddy melon.
Yeah, I would suggest it is quite small and rounded, isn't it?
Yeah.
Well,
Still has grass in its mouth.
yeah, he's been feeding.
It's been feeding in there. Sorry, little one.
Well, I mean, again, this is what happens when people don't pay attention to the animals on the road. We end up with some beautiful wildlife like this, which...
Yeah.
But look, we'll pull him off the road again, so...
Yep.
So nothing...
Get some snaps on.
Yeah. And then we go and disinfect our hands.
Yeah. I'll let you two touch that.
Yeah, no problem. Alright. Here we go.
That's quite a mess, isn't it? What does that smell?
Fresh.
Very fresh, hey? Is the blood still... Almost seemed like the blood was still flowing.
Anybody know where the disinfectant is exactly in the
Yeah.
Yep. Do you want me to grab it? Stay there. Oh yeah, just unlock, yep.
Yeah, that's good.
I was sick a while ago. Just a real phlegm.
Yep.
It seems to be coming back a bit.
Oh,
Just a bit of no, not really a cold. Just like a...
Get a bit of hay fever or something.
Nah, it's just like congestion. Like my chest gets tight, and I get a bit of phlegm and stuff. Like it sucks.
You haven't been smoking a lot of those cigarettes lately, have you?
No.
Get the seatbelts in.
Alright, we're all clipped back in, are we?
Yes, we are.
Are we still recording?
Yeah, sure.
Oh, wonderful. Alright, we're back on the road, and what, shall we turn the recorder off, or shall we keep recording? What do you guys think? I'm happy either way. Let's have a break.
Yep.
Alright guys, we'll talk to you if we find anything else interesting. Alright, and otherwise we'll, I guess we'll wrap up at the bottom of the mountain.
Yeah.
Because this is our last stretch. We're coming into Mount Nebo, and once we're home from there, we're all done. So we'll talk to you soon. Here we are, back where we started.
Right back where we started, literally.
Yeah, exactly where we started off. And so what's that? We found We found a
Let's start from
Stevens.
from the beginning.
So
Yeah.
we went Stevens banded snake,
Death adder,
death adder, which was incredible, like
golden crown.
golden crown,
Yep.
and a carpet python.
all
In one night. Plenty of Melamies, antechinus.
marsupials.
Yeah, at least like a dozen.
Yeah, we saw
marsupial sightings.
seen quite a lot of those, including 2 feeding on some roadkill on the side.
Which was very interesting.
Yeah,
I'm
so we
gonna-
go
I'm
look
gonna-
up what's carnivorous in the area and has that similar body form of
Yeah,
what we saw.
I'm going to have a
Very
look at that
interesting.
later.
And, of course, a couple of injuries and dead on the roads. Always part of the experience,
One
unfortunately.
euthanasia,
Yeah,
unfortunately,
one
too.
euthanasia,
Yeah,
unfortunately.
few dead on road pink tongues, brown tree snake, small-eyed snake.
And, of course, the occasional cane toad. Yeah,
That's okay. We can deal with that.
yeah. But look, guys, that's it for the night. We're it's like 1:30 a.m.
Yeah.
I have to go to work soon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And look, the temperature really started dropping there towards the end. We really stopped seeing anything.
We can see our breath now.
Yeah. For the last
a bit
hour, there
of
probably
steam
hasn't been much out on the road except,
No,
Yeah.
the wind's died down.
The wind has died down, but that temperature drop is still going. Look, there will still be
Absolutely.
things out moving, but there's just going to be a lot less. But it's 1:30. We're tired. It's been a great night. We're
Had a
going to
big
go
night,
home. Guys, thanks for joining us. Hamish, man, thank you for coming along. Always a joy, my brother.
No worries. Enjoy.
Kristian Summers from Summers Sound Solutions, our intrepid producer. Thank you, my brother.
My pleasure, and a fantastic experience. A great Saturday night.
No worries, man. I'm glad we could take you out herping. And look,
Yeah.
we're going to be doing more of these herping shows in the future. We're going to be checking out some wonderful spots. Look, keep in touch. There's going to be more notes. There's going to be photos. There's going to be a bit of video coming out.
I've got terrific pictures to upload as well.
Oh man, that
And
death
videos.
adder, that Stevens banded, the golden crown and the
Yeah,
carpet python.
put on quite a
Beautiful
display,
photos.
yeah.
Yeah, fantastic. So look, there's going to be some pictures, some video to go along with this podcast, and we'll be talking to hopefully the Platypus Conservation Initiative. I've got to learn how to say platypus instead of platypush. Platypus Conservation Initiative with Dr. Gillard Vino in the next couple of weeks. So keep an eye out for that, and plenty more stuff coming. Guys, thanks for joining us for another WCC Conversations. We're going to get in the car, drive home, get some sleep.
Catch ya.
Cheers, guys. Be well. See you next time. Woo!
So thank you.